So this is the iPhone 16 Pro Max and it's running iOS 26 Beta 8 that was just released yesterday, and we're going to do a speed test comparison again against the S25 Ultra to see if these newer animation speeds and performance is finally caught up to the Samsung devices of the world right now. So let's go ahead and begin this video by starting with a boot up test in 3, 2, and go, and see which one can get there first. Now, next month we'll be doing the 17 Pro Max, but this iOS 26 Beta 8 is probably pretty close to completion. So you're probably going to see what we're about to see next month in performance, similar in terms of animations and just general operating speed. So this would give you a good idea. The Galaxy S25 Ultra in this test has turned on first, but only a couple seconds behind was the iPhone 16 Pro Max. So not a major difference there, but you could see with that huge clock, that wallpaper, that is definitely the iOS 26. So when it comes to unlocking the iPhone 16 Pro Max on Beta 8, you'll see that it does have this flying effect. So definitely kind of trying to be visually pleasing there. If we take a look at the Ultra, I kind of just bypass the lock screen and it goes right in. There's nothing too pretty about the way it unlocks though on this phone. It seems pure speed. It does fly in a little bit, but the one on the iPhone definitely looks a little bit slower. But I think that's intentional. That's pretty intentional the way that goes into the device. Now, kind of scrolling through, there is no real choppiness or lag here on Beta 8. It runs pretty darn well. Haven't seen anything major. But one thing I have noticed is that the animation speed of the applications is now quicker than ever before. And if you're wondering why I'm comparing on a beta, it's because we're pretty much close to completion here now. So we can kind of see the performance we can expect there on the device. Now over here for the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, I've covered these a couple of times this year already in speed test comparisons, but I've always been bragging or basically saying that the S25 Ultra has some of the fastest animations on the market today, and that still holds true. This phone has been a home run hit for Samsung when it comes to overall performance. Let's go ahead and get into the app test now. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and begin with calendar on both, and you could see still slightly faster there on the Samsung. You can see when it came out, though, that animation was nicer looking on the iPhone. We'll go into the clock. Man, that was pretty fast there on the iPhone. I think it might have been the iPhone. You could see the visual or the liquid glass here, definitely giving it a different look than just your standard just clicks there on the Samsung. So I do think the liquid glass might be definitely a nice addition for some of you. Let's go into calculator. That one looked faster on the Samsung, and we'll go to App Store, Play Store, faster on the Samsung device. So some people have said that Samsung already was ahead of Apple, so it's more like Apple needing to play catch up here. But if we go here to ChatGPT, that's faster on the Samsung. It's going to come down to the chipsets. The S25 Ultra is the 2025 phone. We're still waiting on Apple's 2025 phone. Let's go into Grok here in 3, 2, go. And that's faster on the Samsung. And we'll go into Copilot, and that's faster on the Samsung as well. We'll go into YouTube. Then we're going to go over here up to this tab, and we'll go into Music. And you can see once in the application, no major issues whatsoever. Let's head up out of here, and we'll swipe up out of there. And how about we go now into Instagram on both phones? And you could see very close call there. And I will be covering the Pixel 10 Pro XL shortly here this week, so stay tuned for that as well. I didn't cover it yet because I purchased it with my own money, so I'm waiting for it just like anybody else would. If that's what you're wondering about, where's the Pixel coverage? Let's go into X, and you can see X was first there on the right. And so the S25 Ultra is still showing why it's basically the king of the market right now. Let's go into Groupon. Just a very powerful, fast phone. And even with, and you could say all day till the sun comes up, well, you're on a beta. It doesn't matter. Like, it's not going to change. It's not going to be, just because we're on a beta doesn't mean that it's automatically just going to have faster animations or just way quicker in just 2 updates. So let's go into Dead Trigger 2. We will be doing the official version though, but I'm pretty certain that this is not going to change. The Samsung device is still a powerhouse. I do think we'll see a much closer call with the 17 Pro Max, But when it comes to these two, I don't think there's going to change. This one did go to the left. Generally, most of the applications seem to open faster and have slightly faster animations still on the Samsung, but they're faster on the iPhone than they used to be. Let's go into RTS. And you can see, it would also be nice to see how the iPhone's animations stack up to like the One Plus as well. Maybe I might just do a dedicated animations test as well as a speed test. So if we go over here, you see that flyout was nearly identical, almost identical the same. Let's go into Free Fire and we'll see what happens here. And as we are now on Free Fire, you are going to see this seems to be in the lead on the Samsung, and it is. So I didn't want to call it right away because sometimes, you know, you'll be in the application and then it ends up loading first on the other phone. Let's go into Call of Duty, see what happens here. And you'll see Call of Duty does seem to be in the lead here on the right. And we're going to wait here on the iPhone. Now the iPhone jumping ahead. And the iPhone actually took it. The iPhone took this test. So that's what I'm talking about. Sometimes it'll look like one is taking it, but then the other phone ends up losing in that area. Now, when actually playing the game, the Samsung has better sustained performance. So over time, you might find yourself to have a bit better performance. The issue, though, is that certain games are better optimized for the iPhone and certain games are better optimized for Android. So it really depends on the games you like to play, but I do feel like a lot of games are more polished on the iPhone. This looks like we're actually downloading a bunch of resources, so I might actually have to run this one more time. I download these before the app test, and then when we get into the app test, they start downloading again something. It could be literally like an hour before, and it'll just start downloading something again. So I'm gonna do this again real quick on Call of Duty. So Call of Duty is now closed. If I go through the recent apps tray, you can see it's closed. So we're going to go back into that one more time for good measure. Now the resources are downloaded on both. So now it's going to be probably a different result. But still, who's going to take it? Is it going to be the Samsung or is it going to be the iPhone? Now you can see they were basically neck and neck on that one. So, but again, what I had said about the sustained performance, Samsung probably going to do slightly better in that department, but the iPhone is no chump either. That's a really powerful device as well. Let's go into PUBG Mobile. Thermals are a bit better though on the Samsung. They do have the vapor chamber, which is something we're likely going to see on the 17 Pro Max, which is pretty exciting for heavier usage. I do like that. You'll see right here that in PUBG, the iPhone was ahead, unless we're downloading resources again, which we're not. So the iPhone did take PUBG, and so the iPhone still holds that powerful gaming performance that it's always been known for. Let's go into 3D Mark. Faster on the left. LumaFusion, faster on the right. We'll go into Speed Test Net, faster on the right. And InShot, faster on the right. So wrapping it up, the speed of iOS 26 is very good now. It's basically like stock, the way you would like it, basically on Beta 8 here. However, what I will say is that generally the Samsung still feels to launch apps faster in most regards, with a couple of games still launching first on the iPhone. Let's check the RAM management now. So we're going to go back through the applications, and you can see this is where I really see a difference. The iPhone's animations now look, I don't know, they just look a little bit snappier than they used to look. However, they still have this effect where it's kind of like trying to be a little bit visually pleasing, which does not give it a pure raw speed, but it does look very fast. So if you're looking for, I think the calculator one right there looked a little weird, but it does look very fast overall. So it's looking really good for what's coming with next month with the new iPhones. So let's take a look here with the Samsung now. And these animations actually look slower when going back through the application. I can speed that up with 0.5x in developer options, but from the stock version, this actually looks slower than the iPhone. So out of the box, the iPhone might feel faster to the general consumer, but it's not going to feel faster unless you go ahead and go into developer options and go to 0.5x. So yeah, Apple actually has faster animations default right now than the Samsung. But if you go over here, let's go ahead and do this now, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. We'll go to the window animation scales. We'll put these at 0.5x. And now you're basically getting that same kind of effect, maybe even snappier than the iPhone. So it can be done, but it's not on by default. Whereas with 26, it looks like their animations are 0.5x nearly by default. They basically look like that to me. So let me know your thoughts about that down below in the comments. In our file, wildlife extreme scores are in, and the iPhone has lost this test here. Of course, it's been losing all year in this test right here, but 23.6 FPS on iOS 26. You can see that it starts out strong, but it starts to dip there over time, and scoring better than 81% of devices on the market. So that's actually a lower score than I had on some previous versions of iOS 18. So 5718 here on the Samsung, 34.25 FPS, scoring better than 96% of devices on the market. So graphically speaking, like I said, in the gaming department, the iPhone is not going to take down the Samsung. So it's really up to the 17 Pro Max if they could take the lead there. So let's quickly do a real world app test where we're going to open some applications and do some real world tasks to see how the iPhone performs. So I'll start out with some basic stuff. We'll do a couple of calculations here, and we'll go ahead and hop over into Instagram now. We're going to go ahead and check out a post. Let me go check out one of my more recent posts here. And we'll see Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. If I go ahead and write here, hey, this phone is nice, pretty good. I'm not going to actually post it, but if I go back there, that looks good. If I swipe over into the App Store, kind of scroll through, we'll see on visual, this visual down here on liquid glass looks pretty good to go. As we scroll through, let's come up out of there and let's go ahead and do something else. So how about we edit out this video really quickly here, make a quick cut and pinch the zoom right there, swipe through, and looking good. Now I can task switch pretty fast here, but on the iPhone here, I cannot do any multitasking. But if I go over here into Copilot and I say what to expect from iPhone 17, we'll see how this generates a response. We'll go over here, and it's going to take a couple of seconds. I'm just going to go ahead and stop it after the display and performance, and you could see it does really well. So as you swipe through the applications, the iPhone tends to do really well, and we don't see any major issues with the real world usage. So that's where, you know, in day to day, you're not really going to have any problems, and that works well. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Samsung now, and we'll see how this does. So we'll start with the calculations, and we'll see we have no problems there. If we go to the history, that's going to be fine as well. Now if I swipe over here, that looks good. If I go into Instagram, we're going to find that post as well, and then we're going to say Galaxy S25 Ultra performs well. Well, whatever, pre-recorded welcome. But you could see as I was popping through those apps, especially with the 0.5x on, this phone definitely seems to pop through them faster. If I go over here in the X, scrolls very quickly, and then I can go ahead and split screen and take full advantage of this performance. So I can do two things at once, and it tends not to give me an issue. I can also pop view here and then make that expanded, or I can go back to this and then bring out something else. Now if I go ahead and use the S Pen, I can go ahead and click this, and I could screen right on here, circle this comment right there, maybe save that as a screenshot or something like that, and it tends to give me no issues. I can also go over here on the home screen and make different pop views, and you can see right there, even when I'm doing all of these things at the same exact time, the Samsung tends to give me no performance issues day to day. It also doesn't get too warm under that usage, and then if I come back over here into a game, it will let me play that match, and you could actually be playing the game and then come out of the game and go do some AI based stuff. What to expect from Samsung's Fanatics? Samsung's trifold phone, because I'm waiting on that one. So you can see as it generates this response here, it's also going to look pretty good. And we'll get some responses there, triple folding phone, software features. And you see, even as you're doing the AI generations, you got the Gemini key here. This thing can keep up with literally everything you do. And I feel like it takes better advantage of the performance in the real world than the iPhone. But you see, the iPhone stayed smooth throughout its single task operations. They both do very well in the real world performance you've seen right there. So let's go ahead and launch the cameras now before we wrap this video up on both of them. I'll click the cameras in 3, 2, go. And I dropped the iPhone almost, so I couldn't see that one. Let me try that again. 3, 2, go. A little bit faster on the iPhone. Now, they actually made the Camera look a little bit different, but it's still, you can still see that transition to the lens on the 0.5x jumps a little bit there. So that is something to keep in mind. If I do go over here to the Samsung Ultra here, let me go ahead and zoom. Pretty smooth, even through all the lenses. It's actually a little bit smoother. They both do just fine in the camera department. Let me go ahead and turn off this timer that I have recently set there. And we'll go back to the cameras here on both of them. And we'll go ahead and click the camera on both. And you could see shutter speed pretty good on both of them. No major issues. Doesn't matter which one you're on, you're going to do pretty good there. So overall, let's wrap it up here. iOS 26 Beta 8 seems like it's pretty much complete. The phone is pretty smooth, just like iOS 18. However, even though the animations are faster on the relaunch, the phone itself, the performance itself on the 16 Pro Max is not faster than the S25 Ultra. So for actual hardware chip and, you know, actual more performance, you got to wait for the 17 Pro Max. S25 Ultra still in the lead. But that's going to wrap it up here for me. Let me know your thoughts. Would you pick the iPhone 16 Pro Max with 26 beta now over the S25 Ultra? Or no, you're going to wait for the 17 Pro Max? Or are you just like, no, Samsung's in the lead? I'd like to know your thoughts here at the end of August going into September, because we're just around the corner for the iPhone event, where you stand right now. Let's discuss that down below, and I'll catch you all in the next speed test comparison video. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.